All right, today starting out in child's pose, come on down. We want to get that head low if we can. If the forehead doesn't come all the way down, you have options. You can take your knees quite wide. Sometimes that allows you to sink more deeply into this. And also, you can use your forearms as a little prop to kind of stack your forehead on. But the idea is we want to kind of let go. Let that head come way down low and just start to breathe deeply into the back of the body, the front of the body, sides, all the places. Big inhales where you take in as much air as you can. And big exhales, emptying your lungs completely. The inhales, you feel your belly button move away from your spine. And the exhales, move the belly button to the spine. All right, this is just a little bit of time for us to transition from life off of the mat into life on the mat, where we're very present with ourselves, noticing breath, noticing sensations in the body, noticing thoughts and emotions, and honoring all of that with compassionate observation, with fascination. Could you watch yourself with absolute fascination for the next few moments? Could you feel longer, more expansive with each inhale? And allow the exhales to release you more heavily toward the center of the earth. Notice where you feel this posture the most. And let's start to reach the hands forward if they're back by your feet. Go ahead and reach them forward. And then keep your hips super heavy towards your heels. We're just going to spider walk our fingers forward, just like our hands are little spiders. And then could we lift the elbows a little bit and move the armpits away from the ears so we have a long neck and get a nice little chest stretch here. All right, feel the armpits spreading open, keeping a long neck. And then keep your spider hands, keep your lifted elbows and your long neck. Could we walk our hands to the left? And once you walk your hands to the left, just get the head back down on the floor. Breathe deeply into that right side. So you're feeling the right side opening up here. And let's see if we could really ground the hips. Breathe. Let's take it to the other side. Hands through center, out to the right. Lifted elbows, long neck. Breathe. Left side spreading open. Let's bring it on back to center. And then you can grab the mat with your hands and pull yourself up to hands and knees. In a nice tabletop posture, let's just do some cat-cows to get the spine a little bit more awake. So if you grip the mat with your strong hands, pull your elbows in slightly. You could think of lifting your heart up and forward as you lift the belly button to the spine. So we don't want to let the belly button drop too much. And exhale, push the floor away. Round the spine. Inhale, heart arches forward. Exhale, heart rounds away from the floor. Okay, keep it going here. I want you to find a big movement. And this can also be a really gentle movement. So you can make it your own. And could we add in a little snakiness, a little jump roping of the spine, just to get into all the side body spaces between the ribs. Make it really weird. And then I'll meet you back with a flat back. We'll pick the right knee up and we'll have it nice and bent. And let's circle it out. But before we really get too big and crazy with these circles, let's try to keep the right hip level with the left. So we're imagining there's like a dinner plate on your low back. And if you lift the right hip, it'll fall off. So the dinner plate will fall off. So keep that hip level. Notice you're a little bit limited here. That's okay. Let's rewind it. Keep that dinner plate on your back. All right, let's stick the right leg straight out behind. The foot is flexed, so let's drop the toes to the floor. And while we're here, we might as well get a little calf stretch. Pushing back through that right heel. Feels good in that right calf. From here, friends, without further ado, we'll transition to a supported side plank. And all we need to do that is to drop that right heel to the floor. Pivot on the left knee so the left toes point directly out to the left and the right hand can come up. And here you are, supported side plank. So fidget until you feel comfortable. Make sure the left elbow is slightly bent, so please prevent it from locking out. And let's make that neck nice and long. Okay, once you're settling in, could you really press the outer edge of the right foot into the floor, maybe lifting the arch a little bit and point your tailbone directly at your right heel. That right hand can reach up and over. Big breath in. Big exhale. Let's open up the right shoulder while we're here. So activate that right arm like you're trying to reach out and pull it back in at the same time. And let's circle it out. Kind of like we did with the hip, just opening up, waking this joint up. Okay, keep that so active in the shoulder. Rewind it, maybe push through the palm this time. Alrighty, reaching up with the right hand, let's pause. And I have a little tiny challenge for you. How do you feel about lifting the right leg? Okay, if that's not pleasant, it's a little too much, you can always drop it. So you always have that option. But if you have the leg up, pause with me here. Take a look at your right foot and then flex the right foot and internally rotate that right hip. The toes will point slightly down. Okay, notice how when you're internally rotated in the hip, you're kind of limited. You can't really lift it above the level of your hip, okay? You can't lift the leg above the level of your hip. So let's tap the floor with it and lift it high. Tap the floor with the right toes. Lift. Again, tap. Keep breathing. Lift. 3 more times, please. Tap. Internally rotating. 2 more times. Tap. Last time. Tap. And lift. Now let's swing it forward and back. Wrap the belly button in. So this is a very isolated movement. Forward and back. Can you keep it internally rotated? Forward and back. 3 more times. Keep breathing. You can always take a break. 2 more times. Internally rotating. 1 more time. All right, bring it back to center. One more thing before we come down. Point that toe, tiny circles, tiny little circles. Internally rotating. Definitely feeling that hip now. Reverse them, push through the heel, push, push, push. All right, let that go. We're bringing it back down to hands and knees. So just spin yourself down to hands and knees. Right hand down, right knee down. Let's come up off of our knees for a moment. So if you tuck your toes, hover your knees, you can walk your hands back to your feet. And we'll take our feet super wide, okay, like as wide as your mat would be, maybe even wider. Bend those knees and just hang. You could shake your head out, maybe kind of swing side to side. And then as you're ready, we're coming back down to hands and knees. So walking those hands forward. Here we are, hands and knees. Okay, your left knee is up now, and we're keeping that dinner plate on your back. So belly button is lifted, the left hip is tucking under, internally rotating, and we can circle out that left knee. Just a little good morning for your hip. And let's rewind that. Good morning, hip. Alrighty, now we have the left leg sending out behind. Let's tuck the toes, press through the heel, and get that little bonus calf stretch while we're here. From here, we're perfectly set up to transition to a supported side plank. So left foot drops to the floor, right knee pivots to point the right toe to the right, left hand reaches up. Okay, while you fidget and get comfortable, I'll spin around to meet you. Please make sure the right elbow is unlocked. It's a little soft, please. The neck is long, and as you press down the outer edge of your left foot, your tailbone points at your left heel. All right, feeling strong and supported here. Activate that beautiful left arm and reach it out as far as it goes away from the left leg. Long left side. And let's start to circle out the shoulder. So we'll activate the arm as if we're trying to reach out and pull it back at the same time. Circle it out. Keep your nice breath. Let's rewind that, bring it back around. All right, reaching up with the left hand, pause. Let's bring this left leg parallel with the floor. If you get a cramp or it gets tired, you can always just bring it down and rest. Still a lovely place to be in that side plank. So check out the left toes. We're flexing the left foot and internally rotating the hip. So we're feeling a little bit limited. We can't lift it very high. That's okay. Tap the floor. Lift. Tap. And lift. Keep breathing. Down. Lift. Down. Lift. Maybe two more. Okay, coming up. Try to isolate this leg swinging by lifting or pulling the belly button into your spine. Swing it forward. Swing it back. Forward. Back. Forward. Back. One more. Back. Okay, back to center. Point that toe. Tiny circles. Try to keep that internal rotation. Want to feel a lot of warmth building in that beautiful hip. Reverse the circles, push through the heel again. Okay, as you're ready, let it go. Drop it back down to hands and knees. Left hand and knee are coming down now. And if we tuck our toes, we can again walk it back to our feet. Let's take the feet wide. Okay, if you bend your knees really generously here, and I really want to encourage you to bend generously, then you can really let your upper body just traction out. Okay, feel how your lower back is just kind of pouring out of your hips like a waterfall. Your heart will be down by your knees. Notice how nice it is just to be upside down. As you are ready, here we go. Hands are back on the floor. If you took them off, we're coming back to hands and knees. And from here, we'll just sit out to one side and take the legs out in front. And find your comfortable butterfly posture. So your feet are together. And you can think of taking your knees closer if you want a little more from this. However, that will put more pressure on your knees. So feet come closer, maybe more challenging for sensitive knees. Knees are sensitive. Take the feet further away from you. Now here we go. I'm going to ask you to do something really weird. Go ahead and get your arms up in the air to distract yourself. And press your feet together. Squeeze the 2 feet toward each other. Okay, notice what activity is happening in your legs. Where do you feel this? Do you feel it on your inner thigh? Do you feel it in your calves? Where do you feel it? Keep breathing. Press those hips together, or those feet together. One more big breath in here. And relax out of that. Okay, let's take the right leg out to the right. Pull that left foot in. Just find a comfortable seat here. We want to make sure that both sitting bones are super grounded and the spine is nice and long. And we'll take this right hand all the way across to the outside of the left thigh, okay? You might grab the knee or by your hip. Just grab the thigh somewhere. Inhaling here, left arm comes up. Could you make yourself extra long through that left side, pressing through that left hip? With your exhale, just look behind you. Look under your left armpit to the left. Again, inhale, reach up a little longer, get taller in your spine. Exhale, could you look a little further behind you? One more, big breath in. One last time, twist, look behind you. Okay, this time you can keep the twist in your spine, okay? Inhaling here, reach up through that left hand, ground into your left hip, okay? As you exhale, reach over your head to the right. It doesn't have to be super far, okay? Just as far as makes sense for you. Let's do it again. Inhale, back up to center. Long spine, reaching up through that left side. Exhale, reach to the right. Can we do that one more time? Inhale, long through the left side, please. You can keep even that little twist feeling, if it makes sense. And exhale, you are reaching to the right. And let's hold here. Okay, now we're all going to be super different here. It may be more pleasant for you to just drop your left elbow onto your left thigh. It may also be nice to put a little bend in that right knee. Give yourself a little bit more space. But ground into that left hip. Super grounded in the left hip. Maybe even bending that left elbow and peeling the armpit open a little bit more. One more big breath here. And we're letting it go. Come back up. Let's switch sides. Let's take that right foot in. Left leg is out long. Same idea here. If it's hard to sit up straight, you feel kind of like you have to lean back, you can always make this a lot more accessible by bending that left knee a little bit. So use that as an option. Take the left hand across to that right thigh somewhere. Okay. And here we go. Same thing on this side. Right arm reaches up, long as you can be on the inhale, friends. Pressing down into that right hip to anchor you. Exhaling, look under, across your right armpit behind you. Again, please inhale, long reaching. Exhale, big twisting. One more, inhale. One more, exhale. All right, inhaling long here, ready to reach as you ground through that right hip, please. And exhale, reach to the left. Two more times, please. Inhale to be long. Exhale, reach. One more, inhale. And exhale. And let's hold here, okay? Remember your options. You can always bring that left elbow down. You can always bend that right elbow and look up under it. Ground that right hip so that you get the most out of this. Feel that right outer hip, lower back. And as you're ready, bring it back up. And we can take all the legs out long here. And then let's see how slowly we can roll down, okay? So you might choose to put a little bend in your knees to do this, or extend your legs to make it more or less challenging for you, okay? I find it more challenging with the knees a little bit bent, so play around with that. But we're gonna intentionally round the spine, pulling the belly button in, pointing your tailbone at your toes, maybe reaching forward. How slowly can you come down? Just really make this last. Almost ridiculous. Thinking of intentionally dropping one little vertebra at a time. As you land, take a moment just to pull your knees in by your chest. And if you grab one knee in each hand, we can circle the knees out. And take several circles in one direction, and then several circles in the other. All right, kind of stirring your femurs around in your hip sockets. And then we'll keep the right knee. We'll release the left leg all the way to the floor. And with fingers interlaced either behind the right thigh or in front of the right shin, whichever your knee says is better, okay? In front of the right shin will probably give you a little bit more opening into that hip. But let's ground our shoulder blades once we've got the right knee, and then we'll think of encouraging that right kneecap toward the center of your chest. So, of course, it probably won't get there, but it's moving in that direction, okay? Breathe. Right knee moves toward the center of the chest. If you're feeling a lot in your right hip crease here, it's really talking to you, then maybe this is quite enough. However, if you'd like to feel a little more, you'd like to release a little more, you could experiment with, as the hands pull the knee toward the chest, the knee also pushes into the hands a little bit. So you can experiment with resisting yourself. Find a little extra space in that hip here. And then keep what you have. We're simply going to move the right knee further out to the right, like you're trying to put it in your armpit. And as a matter of fact, you may feel today like wrapping a forearm around your right shin or your right thigh. Either one is great. Maybe two forearms. But if you do that, remember your shoulder blades are grounded. Your breath is big, and you also may resist yourself a little bit here. Make sure it's appropriate. Never feeling pain or strain on the mat, please. All right, beautiful people, release this right leg. We're gonna stick it straight up in the air. And let's take hands down beside us. More for stability than anything, because we'll start to move with this right leg. So you can always bend the right knee, but I want to invite you to extend it as much as makes sense for you. And you can point through the toe, find a spot on the ceiling just above your toe, and coming from your hip. So lock in your ankle, it won't move. Lock in the knee, it won't move either. All from the hip. Draw tiny circles around that spot on the ceiling. Okay? And you can always put more of a bend in the knee. So please modify. Okay, let's really slow them down, almost ridiculously so, and start to broaden the circles with each revolution. So do your best to keep them very symmetrical, very circular, and make them bigger, bigger and bigger. As they get bigger than you are, you're going to start to rock side to side. Use your hands to keep you stable. But I want to encourage you to lift the right hip up off the floor when you send the leg to the left. Send the leg all the way out to the right. Let's make these circles so ridiculously big. Okay, using all of your available hip should feel very nice. Okay, rock it all the way out to the left. So when you're putting that foot out to the left, it becomes a twist. Could we rewind it? Let's keep it big and slow. We'll only change the foot. Can we push through the heel now? Big circles. Ridiculously big. All right, slowly start to spiral your hip circles back in. Slow, slow, bring them in. Bringing them back. And at this point, we can bend that right knee. We'll slide the left foot back in, and we'll use this left knee as a little prop for the right foot. So if you put a nice flex in that right foot, it hooks quite satisfyingly over that left knee. So try that out. Little flex in the right ankle. And let's think of pressing the right knee away without touching it. So it's tempting to use your hands to kind of push it away, but just use the strength in your outer hip, please, to move the right knee away. And let's breathe here. Just enjoy it. For some of us, this is quite enough. Some of you are going to want more. Okay, if you want more, you're picking up the left foot and you're grabbing your hands behind the back of the left thigh. You can also go for the front of the left shin, but ground those shoulder blades, please. And continue to press the right knee away from you. Feel your right hip melting open. It's nice to kind of visualize a beautiful warm glow, especially if you feel tight or congested in that right hip. Visualize something really beautiful happening there, like a glow or a slow softening. As you're ready, let's release all of the legs. The feet come back to the floor. And if you walk your feet quite wide away from each other here, then you can take some gentle windshield wipers, dropping the knees side to side. This is a great time for us to notice how our hips are feeling. So notice the right hip, notice the left hip. Sometimes it's kind of fun to just put your hands on your hip and feel if there's a temperature difference. Okay? Just gathering information about our bodies all the time. And as you're ready, friends, pause here. We'll extend that right leg and get the left knee up and in. So we can use the left shin or we can use the back of the left thigh. But grounding shoulder blades, please. Gently encouraging the left knee toward the center of your chest. Perhaps experimenting with a little gentle resistance, okay? Rather than the hip being passive, okay? What if it resisted you a little bit? Sometimes when we work with gentle resistance, we can get some different results. And then as you're ready, move the knee away from the midline. Move the left knee towards your left armpit. Maybe use a forearm or two. You can use them on the shin or the thigh. But remember, please ground your shoulder blades. Breathe. Perhaps resist your own strength for a few breaths. As you're ready, release this left leg and stick it straight up in the air. And hands down beside you, please, for stability. So same thing on this leg. We are moving from the hip. So the ankle and the knee are simply along for the ride. Extend the knee as much as feels good to you, please. And tiny circles. All right, you might need to intentionally slow yourself down. I find that I tend to be kind of fast with things and I have to talk myself into slowing down. Maybe you do too. Slow circles, spiraling outward. If you have a small space like I do, you're going to have to bend your knees probably to get that hip to move more. So feel free to do that if you need to. Okay, notice circles are getting bigger. You're starting to rock, so use your strong upper body to stabilize yourself. And let's start to make these circles really big and weird, guys. Okay, turning it into a twist. When that leg goes to the right, it becomes a twist. Allow that. Allow the glute to peel up off the floor. And please rewind. Keep it big. Push through the heel though. Just a little different action in your ankle. We're ready to start spiraling them back inward. So take your time spiraling inward. Getting slower, getting smaller, and finally, let that go. Let's bring the right leg back in. So we'll plant the right foot by the hips. The knee is pointed up and we can use it as a prop for the left ankle. If that left ankle is flexed, you'll notice it hooks nicely around the knee. So use that to your advantage. And we're pressing the left knee away, just with that outer hip strength. Maybe here is quite enough. If here is enough, please stay here. You want more, you can bring that right foot up off the floor. Fingers will interlace behind the thigh, perhaps in front of the shin, and shoulder blades are grounded. Okay, we're still resisting the temptation to touch that left leg and help it out, but the left knee is still moving away from your nose. Find some nice release in that outer hip. Left hip, inner hip. One more big breath right here. And let's release all of this. Right foot back on the floor, left foot back on the floor. A few more windshield wipers would be nice here. Notice how your hips are feeling. And then release your legs out long. Find your resting posture. Your resting posture might be Shavasana today with arms and legs long. Maybe something else with your arms and legs bent. Might I suggest scooching your shoulder blades underneath your heart a little bit so that your chest feels more expansive. Allow yourself to settle into effortlessness. As you let the breath flow softly through your nose, perhaps find that your jaw is hanging slack and a little smile is on your lips. The space between the eyebrows is very soft. Belly is soft. Heart soft. Hands and feet so soft. As you lay here, spend a little time being extremely, very lovingly present with yourself. Notice every little thing about this exact moment on your mat. Every sound, every sensation. And please keep resting this way for as long as you can. If you have the time, I recommend taking a little nap. I hope you feel great. Thank you so much for joining me.